Chapter 6, Queen. Cush could not sleep that night, and as soon as he thought that Mammalean was up, he ran to her house. "Child, you's up with the chickens this morning, ain't ya?" Cush shook his head. "Yeah, Mammalean, I can see everything in my mind as you tell your story. And I feel as the characters feel, as if I'm the person in whom you're speaking about. I felt Dasinga's love, jealousy, and frustration." Mammalean smiled. "That might be a gift. Come on in here and get you some teat." You know, Ron's relationship helped him understand a new era that was coming. Sabaoth sent him to Ron to understand the pain, abuse, and frustration our people endured since being here on this land. He saw the creation of that movement and understood its purpose. He understood the cause. "Now, come on here." Mammalean made them a big breakfast and they sat in the living room. Mammalean began. Tucson, Arizona, also known as the Old Pueblo, located in the western part of the states, a place rich in fertile green patches throughout the area, yet a dry, desert land filled with many Wakatilians, who have lost hope and refuse to dream. Cush interrupted. "Why so dramatic, Mammalean?" Mammalean looked at Cush. "Boy, who's telling this story, you or me?" Smiling, she cleared her throat, and she started over. Tucson, Arizona, also known as the Old Pueblo, is in the western part of the states, rich in fertile green patches throughout the area, yet a dry, desert land filled with many Mestizos. She paused. "I said Wakatilians at first, but by that time they were about to meet the man of Sabaoth. So, they were still Wakatilians. Let me start over again." Cush looked at Mammalean. "Mammalean, come on." She took a sip of coffee. "Okay, seriously, Tucson, Arizona, also known as the Old Pueblo, is in the western part of the states, rich in fertile green patches throughout the area, yet a dry, desert land filled with many Wakatilians who had once lost hope and refused to dream. Many were just as dry as the desert surrounding them, and the few that had hope could have been represented by the fertile green patches throughout the land. Tucson has a hot desert climate with two major seasons, sweltering summer and mild winter. The weather in the fall is much like spring, dry, with warm days and cool nights, and the summers are just plain hot. However, unlike Louisiana, they didn't have a lot of humidity. The monsoon season typically begins in July and continues through September. During the monsoon, the humidity is much higher than the rest of the year. Clouds build up from the south in the early afternoon, followed by intense thunderstorms and rainfall, which cause flash flooding. The evening sky is the most beautiful sight to see during this time of year, with orange, red, and purple skies, pierced with dramatic lightning strikes. Tucson itself was a city surrounded by mountains in every direction. Santa Catalina Mountains and the Tortolita Mountains to the north, the Santa Rita Mountains to the south, the Rincon Mountains to the east, and the Tucson Mountains to the west. Sentinel Peak, also known as a mountain, has a giant A stamped on its side in honor of the old University of Arizona, but now represents the Abenians. The top of Sentinel Peak, accessible by road, offers an outstanding scenic view of the city looking eastward. An old abandoned parking lot atop Sentinel Peak was a place to watch sunsets or view the city lights at night, but now serves as a waiting area for those visiting from the nearby bubble city of Phoenix, approximately 118 miles west of the city. Mount Lemmon became the epicenter of disgrace and abomination in the nation, a place where people sell their souls for drugs and alcohol. A modern-day Sodom and Gomorrah. The Santa Cruz River partially submerged this city during the great earthquake that destroyed California. Many of the buildings remain as a reminder to those who once lived there of the incredible devastation. For centuries, this area was filled with a rich history of criminals trying to elude authorities, and many battles have been fought here for the blood of the innocent and the souls of the harmless, cries out in this godforsaken land. Some say, it's a place where even time has been forgotten. They filled it with Wakatilians who forsaken the Torah and filled their lives with whiskey, whoredom, and selfishness. What they once knew as Tucson's largest park, Reed Park, which included a zoo just west of the now abandoned Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, lies a village of Wakatilians who resist this way of life. These outcasts call themselves Hijos del Altísimo, translated as Children of the Most High. Here, the people separate themselves from those who disrespect themselves and Sabaoth.